All right, gang. So in this module, we're going to deal with navigation. Now, at the bottom of our forms, we've got a way to navigate through record by record. And that's a form of navigation. And I like to look at navigation from two perspectives. Now, one perspective is navigation where you can look but not touch. And by that, I mean you have a read-only access to whatever it is you're dealing with. Now, I may want to allow somebody access to where they can go in and see the data, but I don't want them touching my data because I want to ensure that data doesn't get compromised. That's a secure navigation. We'll go through that in the exercises. I've got another way, something that I all too often use. I don't want to say every time, but I use it quite frequently when creating databases. And that's what we call a switchboard. Now, a switchboard is a form, much like forms that we've seen in the past, and this form allows us to navigate through specific objects that we've created. Now, the objects could be some of the reports, some of the queries, specific forms. And by using the switchboard, we still have access to modify the data. So I look at it, it's a streamlined interface for me to access the tools, the objects, the things that we've created that I'm going to use a lot, quite frequently. I could have it set up to where I've got a link to create a new query, edit something, view a report, whatever it may be. Now, I'm going to start this off. I've got a video that you can go watch in further detail afterwards that focuses in on how to create the switchboard, what a switchboard is, in Access 2016. And that's the version that I'm using is 2016 file format. There's not a huge difference between Access 2016 and Access 2019. So where we need to start off, up here in the very top, right above where it says external data, we've got this, looks like a drop-down menu control. And this gives us the ability to customize the quick access toolbar. The things that we have available to us. Now, I don't want to drop that down. I want to right click on it, come down to more commands, and this gave us access options. By default, it'll go to popular commands. I drop that down and say I want to see all commands. This has now populated. We'll come down to SW Switchboard Manager. So I've added that in there. So I say OK. So now I've got Switchboard Manager added in here. There used to be an easier way to do this, but that's where we're at now. And if I go ahead and run that, we'll deal with that in a second, that'll give us our switchboard options. I said, well, wait a minute, you don't have any switchboards. Do you want to create one? Yes, I'd like to create one. Now, that's our way to access that switchboard straight out of the gate. Fire up your database and boom, open that up. I can have it open up as soon as they open the database up. And that's the first thing I see. Now, that's one way to create a switchboard, and that is the wizard way, if you will. If you remember, when we went into create, we've got these wizards. Query wizard, form wizard, report wizard. Those are wizards that walk us through step by step. I don't see one in here. It says switchboards. We can look in more forms. No, I don't see one in here. A switchboard is just a form, but we don't have a wizard in this create ribbon to create a those fire trucks by, to create a switchboard. But what we can do is click this and it's going to say, hey, we've got that. Do you want to create a switchboard? Now, if I didn't want to use the wizard, what option do I have? I'll go create a blank form and just manually add the controls to it and build one from scratch. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'd rather use the wizard on this because it's quick and easy. So I want to add to it a main switchboard. I can call it classes. And I'll go ahead and close it. I can always come back. So where is it? Where's my switchboard? I closed it and I don't see anything. Remember I said a switchboard is a type of form. So there it is. Here's our switchboard. Now I can come in design view and I can modify that, add to it. Layout view, I can go in and add to it. Okay. We'll look at it in form view, and what's our switchboard look like? That's it. That's all we've got. Now that's just the very start of it. I can create the different levels of the switchboard, and they're essentially just buttons that you would click that would take you to either a submenu or to that object itself. So I can have in my menu reports, forms, queries, and if you click reports, it would then take me to a submenu and list each of the reports available that I would want to commonly use. Okay, so I'll expand on that. I've got that video that I'm going to point you to. You'll see it in the outline for Module 9 for switchboards. I'm going to also put one in if you want to create using a blank form in the ground up method. It does a great explanation of going through it. It's a slow paced video, so just know that ahead of time. For most, we just go with the switchboard, and the switchboard is real easy to set up, and it's one of those things you set it up front. You can go in and add to it. It's not that you cannot add to it, but I stopped at such a high level, or I should say a low level of design, that I didn't have much to add on or modify. All we had was the title to it. So, with that said, two different perspectives on navigation, two types of navigation. Look and don't touch, and the other one, you're navigating to be able to go and work with the data. So one's just navigation, the other's a switchboard. If it's a switchboard, they can touch, modify the data. It's just streamlining. I could have, over here on the left, 200 or more objects listed, but I only have 10 of them that I use regularly, or a handful that I use regularly. Create a switchboard to get me to them so I don't have to wade through all of the objects that I've created, just the ones that I'll commonly need. Okay. So that said, let's go knock out these last few exercises in Module 9, and I'll see you in Module 10. We're nearing the finish line.